John, looking at, I'm going to start with the big picture in regards to the program, Sam Pittman, and in regards to what he's accomplished here. I think about the Chad Morris run, which was about as disastrous as it can be, losing to group of five teams, over and over and over, and 15 or 16 consecutive losses in the SEC. Sam Pittman was a bit of a godsend. Certainly, that 3-7 team in 2020 was better than its record would show. They were so much more competent than what they had been prior to that. And so he just goes from offensive line coach to head coach of a major program and does wonders. And they have the nice 2021 season. So what has turned out to be the challenge in regards to maintaining or continuing that progress?
Well, I think that, Sam Pittman, when he came into Arkansas, obviously you mentioned it was just an abysmal situation. And you tack on the COVID year, you got 10 SEC games that he gets thrown to as his first time. He never even had a spring practice. I know nobody did, but, never even got that chance to get acclimated with the team. And the SEC did the great favor to Arkansas that year, as being like, oh, okay, so those 8 SEC games you already have, we're going to add 2 more for you, and it's going to be Georgia and Florida, who happen to be the 2 best teams in the SEC East during that year. So overall, there was a lot of question marks about Sam Pittman being hired, but it felt like at the time, just because of the program and the situation it was in, that it was going to be somebody you needed that wanted to be here, that loved what they were able to do as a football coach, that had SEC experience and was really good at recruiting, and that was Sam Pittman. He just didn't have the head coaching acumen. He didn't have the experience there, but it had a great 2021 year, and since then it's progressively gotten worse. So I think one of the key things for Arkansas, of course, has been about just, schedule always is really difficult for them, and it always has been. This year it's a little bit easier. It's not easy, but it's easier. And also, I just think that, with Sam Pittman, I still think he's a good coach. I still think that he could do a lot of good things at Arkansas, but I think one of the things that he may have not benefited very easily from was the NIL transfer portal era, because it's part of it. I think he's done what he could with it, and I think he's doing what he can with it still currently. But, that changed a lot. There's some coaches that are built for it, and there's some coaches that aren't. And for Sam Pittman, I've just always got the vibe from Coach Pittman that, he's just a ball coach. He just wants to coach football. If he was somebody that was at Arkansas back in the early 2010s, mid 2010s, I think that it would be a complete different deal and a lot more successful. But you got to keep up, and you got to be able to play that game, whether you like it or not. And so I just believe that it's about talent, of course, but it's also just about the little things. Because Arkansas last year, I know they went 4-8, but they lost by 3 points on the road to LSU. They lost by 3 points on the road to Alabama. They lost by a touchdown on the road to Ole Miss. Not to make excuses, because, hey, losses are losses, but that team was really close. They were losing games to really good teams, much better teams, and they were doing it in a way that at least kept them in the ball game for the majority of the time. So they just got to bounce back from that. They got to get the offense going more. I think they will, and I think Sam Pittman has done a lot of great things too, but this is a do or die year for him. He's got to make the improvements, or else Arkansas is going to be moving on and looking for a new coach.
So, John, before we let Matthew jump in about the 2014, just to extend kind of on that narrative and what Arkansas is all about in football and what's expected of Sam Pittman, I've always had a difficult time pinpointing where Arkansas is on the college football map in regards to, this is a program, I'll date myself, I watched them in the Southwest Conference. I watched them be one of the best programs in the Southwest Conference. I saw them go to major bowl games. And then, of course, they've been more spotty in the last 20 years. Of course, Houston Nutt had a nice run for an extended period of time. And Bobby Petrino with nice back-to-back top 10 finish teams that went to major bowl games. So in recruiting, a challenge. They're going to recruit, in the bottom 3 or 4 slots, typically in the recruiting rankings in this conference, and in the state of Arkansas, not loaded with the type of talent that other states in the Southeast or the Southwest are. So What do Arkansas fans expect? What does the administration expect in competing in this monster conference?
Well, I think most fans are pretty reasonable as far as their expectations go for the football program. I've always felt like Arkansas is a program, at least now in the current day and age in college football, that should never miss out on a bowl game. You know, they should always at least get 6 wins every year. Like, that should be the bare minimum. They should never have a losing record because just knowing that it's a difficult schedule and everything, but you should be able to find 6 wins on a 12-game schedule in this day and age in college football at Arkansas. It's just part of it. But I believe also, too, that the averages is kind of what Razorback fans look at. I feel like if you go between 6 to 8 wins per year, so basically averaging 7 wins a year in the regular season, I think most Razorback fans will be happy. But on top of that, every 3, 4, 5 years, find a way to get to that 9-win, 10-win season, which, you know, Arkansas had that in 2021, and everybody was really happy. I mean, that's not to say that, they're fine just being average or mediocre. It's just they understand the limitations that sometimes they have, and I think most Razorback fans just want to be competitive. You know, they know that they got a long way to go before they get to the upper echelon of teams. I mean, taking on LSU, taking on Alabama, taking on Georgia is not exactly an easy thing, no matter who you are, much less if you're Arkansas. So I think most Razorback fans see it that way. As long as you are competitive, as long as you are going in the conference, and as long as every so often you have a nice, great year to where you maybe even go to a New Year's Six bowl or finish in the top 15, top 20, I think most Razorback fans would be fine with that, and I think that's a reasonable expectation.
Going for, like you said, that's reasonable expectation. So would you say a team comparable to that would be Kentucky of what they've been under Mark Stoops under his administration, I guess?
Well, I mean, it's always kind of in hindsight, you know, because there was a time 10 years ago where I viewed Arkansas far and away ahead of most SEC programs. Not all, but most. You know, when the Petrino years were here, where, you know, Ole Miss wasn't relevant. Mississippi State wasn't relevant. It was before A&M joined the conference. You know, Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt. Kentucky was Kentucky. So, you know, it's always about the timing of everything. But I think, honestly, Arkansas should be a program that is above Kentucky. I'm not saying that in an insulting way. It's just I'm speaking from what Razorback fans believe. They feel like at a place like Kentucky, you know, basketball is always going to be number one, and that's always where the support's going to go. And Arkansas's got a great basketball program too that will get everything that they need, but football is still the number one sport. If you ask Razorback fans, hey, I'll give you a national championship in one sport, which sport are you doing? They're all going to say football, like 100%. So I think Razorback fans feel, by and large, that they should be middle of the pack in the SEC, you know, because, again, a few years ago, Ole Miss was nothing with Matt Luke, but Lane Kiffin has kind of turned him in. It's always about the coach. You guys know that. I mean, if you got a great coach at your program, does the coach make the program or does the program make the coach? I think in almost every aspect, it's more so about the coach making the program. So, you know, I think it's just a matter of finding the right guy, finding the right pieces, and then because they'll have the support. And I think that the NIL program is really good at Arkansas. It could always be better, just like everywhere else. But I think that still overall, Razorback fans feel like, are they going to get to the Georgias, the LSUs, the Texases, the Alabamas? Probably not. But can they be in that range from, I guess with 16 teams now, can they be in that range from 5th to, you know, 9th, 5th to 10th? I think so, and I don't think that's too unreasonable to ask in a lot of years, much less finishing in the bottom dwelling of the SEC like Arkansas has been doing. I don't think anybody should accept that or should just say, hey, that's part of being at Arkansas.